Some more emails here from WikiLeaks show what Hillary Clinton apparently knows in the Middle East, but she wouldn't say in public. So in 2014, she said this about the Middle East. We need to use our diplomatic and more traditional intelligence assets to bring pressure on the governments of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, which are providing clandestine financial and logistic support to ISIL and other radical Sunni groups in the region. So you know how all the time Hillary Clinton and Republicans go out there and say, Iran, they are the biggest threat in the Middle East. They are the biggest funder of international terrorism. Not only is that obvious bullshit, they know it's bullshit. And they admit behind closed doors and they admit in internal emails, yeah, our allies, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, we might need to apply a little pressure to them because they keep funding ISIS and other radical Sunni groups. God, it's so... What these emails show, again, is that everything we think about the establishment is true about the establishment. All right, let me give you more. In a 2013 speech transcript that leaked, Hillary acknowledged that, quote, the Saudis have exported more extreme ideology than any other place on earth over the course of the last 30 years. Okay, thank you for acknowledging that. Now, can you please acknowledge that in public, and can we please make policy based around that? The furthest she goes, as I just told you before, is maybe let's put a little more pressure on them? No, but that's not... Like, we went to war with Iraq, a country that did not attack us over 9/11. They didn't do 9/11. They had nothing to do with 9/11. And we waged an offensive war against them and an occupation. And Hillary didn't admit it was wrong until 2014. She voted for it in 2003. She didn't say, you know what, bad idea until 2014. So war is okay when we think you might have something to do with 9/11, even though you don't. But if you actually do have something to do with 9/11 and funding the groups that did it, but you're our buddy already and you're our ally, maybe we put a little pressure on you? What happened to caring about the victims of 9/11? You were ready to go in guns blazing. You did go in guns blazing to the wrong place over it. But now when we know who's really guilty, well, look, understand something. They're good for business reasons, so shut the fuck up, because we got to keep business as usual going as it is. Because that's what's actually happening here. Okay, and in that same speech, she goes on to say, quote, a more robust, covert action trying to vet, identify, train, and arm cadres of rebels in Syria that would have fought both the government of President Bashar al-Assad and the al-Qaeda-related jihadist groups that have unfortunately been attracted to Syria. That's been complicated by the fact that the Saudis and others are shipping large amounts of weapons and pretty indiscriminately, not at all targeted toward the people that we think would be the more moderate, least likely to cause problems in the future. So do you get what she's saying there? Yes, in Syria, what's happening is our allies, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and also Turkey, by the way, they're sending money, they're sending arms to rebel groups. They tell us, no, don't worry, bro, it's totally cool. None of them are jihadists or Islamists, bro. Look away, bro. And then what do? They're like, yeah, here, indiscriminately take weapons, guns, we don't give a fuck. All the Islamist groups and the jihadist groups. I mean, the biggest forces in there, you got ISIS, you got al-Nusra, you got various Islamist and jihadist groups. Even factions of the FSA are radical. I mean, we know groups that the U.S. directly backed, for example, beheaded a child. They beheaded a child, and these are groups that the U.S. officially calls moderate. So here's Hillary Clinton going, yeah, us and our buddies are kind of funding jihadists, but, I mean, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know what you're saying. No, I don't know what you're saying. Cut off the funds immediately. I mean, how many times are we going to make the same mistakes of history? Ronald Reagan armed the Mujahideen because the Mujahideen is fighting the Soviet Union. What happens? We know what happens. Mujahideen becomes the Taliban, becomes Al-Qaeda. Boom, they use those weapons against us. We're making the same mistakes. And they see it happening in real time, and their response is, somebody should maybe do a little something about this. Like put a little pressure on them, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Iran is the worst, aren't they? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And again, the funny thing is, it goes right back to kind of the same Cold War mindset, too. Because the real reason for our position in Syria, which makes no sense, is oh, we're against the government of Syria because they're aligned with Iran, and they're both aligned with Russia. So this is still a Cold War chessboard. So we have this incoherent position of, okay, I mean, I guess the rebel groups of ISIS and Al-Qaeda aren't the main thing we should be fighting because ooga booga, Russia bad, Syria bad, Iran bad. Like, this is how they think. So it's the same fucking mistakes over and over and over again. And it's our alliance with Saudi Arabia that has made them more powerful, given them more money, given them more weapons. And then they spread jihadism around the world, and we're like, somebody maybe should do a little something about that, but not too much, because we got a great business thing going. This is what they admit, and this is what they say when they think nobody's watching.